Welcome to, yes, that's right, an all-new episode of Rewind Heroes. We're back. I'm your co-host, Greg Compton.
I thought we gave up a long time ago. I'm Dan Gage, your other co-host. We're excited to be back. I mean, it's been a while, as you can tell.
Exactly.
A lot of things have happened since last time we saw you.
It's been so long the Cubs actually won a World Series. It's been that long.
Exactly. But no, we're excited. We've got a lot of good news stories, reviews. Let's get right into it.
Let's just get right into it. Let's go to the newsreel.
All right, Greg, what's up first?
Well, first is news that Anne Rice got the rights back to Interview with the Vampire, which was her first novel in a whole bunch of vampire series, with Lestat as a vampire. Movie had Brad Pitt, and it had Tom Cruise as Lestat. So the main thing on this is she's got the rights to use it for television, and she's going to develop a series. Apparently she is developing a series, kind of in the vein of Game of Thrones.
Yeah, cool.
Thoughts on that?
The show did Game of Thrones has done pretty well. So
yeah, but do you think we need more vampire stuff?
Yeah, honestly, I think it's been long enough that we've had one that's relevant.
True.
Why not? Bring it in. Bring it on.
I'll give it a shot. I remember the movie, to me, Drug, that was popular. It was a cool time period. We'll see. To think about it, Kirsten Dunst was like, 8? And in that movie, so that tells you how long ago it's been.
That's crazy.
Between True Blood and Sparkly Vampires and Twilight, I don't know if we need more vampires, but I'll give it a shot. We'll see.
Let's see what they come up with. But you mentioned Game of Thrones.
Yes.
So that kind of leads us into our next story, where Emilia Clarke has now been cast in the Han Solo spin-off film. I'm excited about the casting. I think they've done it. Just the names we've heard with all 9, right? We're all curious to see what he does. But then Donald Glover as Lando.
Yeah.
You pull in someone like Emilia Clarke, I think this is shaping up to be pretty cool.
I think Mother Dragons and a scruffy-looking nerf herder. I'm down with that.
Bring it on.
Yeah, no, in other news, something that just dropped was Dan Trachtenberg, who we're fans of.
Yeah.
10 Cloverfield Lane, did a really cool episode also of Black Mirror. I think it was the second one of the new season. It's on Netflix, so check that out. It's great. He just got tapped to do a Houdini film. I think years ago, Lionsgate was going to do this, got scrapped. It's based off a book, I think, called The Secret Life of Houdini.
Yep.
We'll see how close it is. I mean, there was a series with, was it Adrian Brody? Adrian Brody. That aired on History Channel or something.
It was simulcasted over the 3 networks. And I was going to bring that up because I hope it's a distant cousin from that, because that was not executed in a very effective way.
Right. The idea was good, and him being a possible spy, things like that. So I'm interested to see what Trachtenberg brings to the table for that.
Yeah, and I've always been interested in the Houdini story, so to bring him in to present day, we haven't had a good magician story, if you will. I know they had the Now You See Me or whatever it is, but this is much better source material.
Yeah, and I think when they originally were going to do this a couple years ago, Johnny Depp was tapped to play it. Now, who knows what they'll do here? It's probably a totally different iteration.
I would think.
But anyway, I think it's been a while now. We saw this opening night. It's been a while. I think we should, everyone that's going to see it's probably seen it. I think we should go ahead and get into a review of Doctor Strange. What do you think?
Let's do it.
All right, here we go. Okay, so even though we saw it opening night, that's been a few weeks because, Cubs won the World Series and we had a hangover.
Happens every 108 years. Come on.
Exactly. We got a chance to sit down and see Doctor Strange, the newest Marvel film and probably the trippiest Marvel film. Before we get into it, what were your initial thoughts?
Yeah, so, going into this film, I think we all knew this was going to be a different type of Marvel film. And what did that mean? I don't think I even really knew. I mean, you watch the trailers, it feels like an Inception kind of thing, but we know it's Marvel. But I got to say, I really, really enjoyed this character. I enjoyed the story. I will tell you, it wasn't my favorite of all the Marvel films. He's not, I think mainly because Stephen Strange probably isn't my favorite of all heroes. But it was refreshing because it did feel like a new experience going to a Marvel movie.
Right.
You could tell it took us in a different direction than any of the others, but it still felt like it lived in that same universe. So overall, I thoroughly enjoyed the film. I just wouldn't put it at the top for me.
Yeah, I know this one has gotten a lot of mixed reviews. People saying a lot of exposition with the storyline, things like that. I will say, first of all, I did enjoy it. I really like this movie. There's a couple things with it. Visually, it's stunning. If this does not win an Oscar, based on that, if you're not caring about story, it takes Inception ideas, but to a whole new level when you're seeing every line of Art Deco designs twisting and turning like gears as buildings. I mean, it blows the mind, and especially going backwards in time and reversing and going forward in
We
time.
even made a comment a few times during it, like, can you believe that's CGI? Like, it felt like you were watching buildings transform.
I'm a video editor and compositor, and I could not wrap my head around it. So I think visually it was great. I think it had a really good cast. We'll get into some of those.
Yep.
It is a trippy character. If you've seen any of the comic pages, it did really translate. I don't know. It translated the dark dimension really well. It translated the powers really well. The out of body experiences.
Those were some of my favorite scenes.
Yeah, and there was humor in this movie that I don't think people expected, and he was like a magical Iron Man. You know, like the ego was definitely there. I think he played it really well. Let's get into a couple of characters.
Yeah.
He is a doctor that has his hands broken almost beyond repair, to at least where he can be a successful surgeon. And he goes to Kathmandu to seek out the Ancient One to heal him, played by Tilda Swinton. What were your thoughts on her?
So for me, she stole the show. Every scene
Absolutely.
she was in, she was phenomenal. And it was interesting because going into the film, this won't surprise anyone, I wasn't too familiar with Doctor Strange, but I did know going in that a lot of folks were upset of the casting of her playing this role. I guess
It was a gender swap.
it was a gender swap, and it just wasn't what people were expecting. But I got to tell you, I thought she was one of the strongest parts of this film. Every scene she was in, it almost felt like a Master Yoda, if you will, that was training her master. But I loved her in this film. What did you think?
Yeah, I think she definitely stole the show. You're right. It definitely had that kind of character, but a darkness behind her, but a playfulness. And like, I might be out here doing mystical things, but I get your snarkiness when you come at me with it, and I could throw it right back at you. So I love that. She did really great. I cannot pronounce the actor's name who played Mordo, so I'm not even going to try.
Me too.
But he did an excellent job too, and really setting him up into a major villain.
Yep.
And this is one of those times when I loved how Marvel really brought you into a character, and if you weren't familiar, I mean, they build him up almost as another mentor. It's not a bad person, at least at this point, but it's an ideological difference at the end.
And I love
Kind
when
of like Civil War started to do that.
I agree, and I love the way that they end the film, and they've totally set it up now. I mean, the character, you've seen the character evolve within the movie, you care about him, you know about it, and now it's got you excited about the sequel, which, what else could you ask for?
That's right. Now, that also had Rachel McAdams, just in short periods, which I think was really there just to show humanity and add humbleness to the character of Stephen Strange.
I agree. Now, I will say one of my favorite scenes in the film, and I won't get too in depth with it, but the scene where he's being on the operating table and he's out of his body.
That's pretty phenomenal.
That probably was my favorite scene.
That was good.
And just her banter and everything. But I love Rachel McAdams. So it works for me.
She did a great job at it. Now, Mads Mikkelsen, who people might know from Hannibal. They might
we may
also
know here soon from Rogue One.
Rogue One, and he
Had to get
was
that in.
the first villain in the Daniel Craig reboots of Bond. He was the chief in Casino
Look at
Royale.
what we just did there. We both just brought out our passions in one sentence.
Exactly. So he plays not the main villain, but his character's name is Caecilius, and he kind of plays the instigator to kind of, I know, right? It's kind of hard to say these names. He's going, the thing is to unleash Dormammu from the Dark Dimension.
If you say so, Greg.
They kind of destroy time and space, and I think I'm trying to remember, but isn't it almost to like bring forth like immortality or something?
This was the part for me that gets a little muddled on exactly what's happening. But it still worked. I mean, you still knew where you were in the story.
Right.
But I think that could be the argument at times in the plot was, what in the hell is actually happening?
I think the one problem, if anything, in this movie was the fact that his villain, and then Dormammu at the end were just plot devices so you could have an origin story for Stephen Strange. Somebody for him to test his mettle against and fight against.
I agree.
There is really no depth to this character. No. And I think, too, when you get to the CGI of Dormammu, it looked pretty bad compared to all the phenomenal CGI that you see earlier. But now when he's floating up in the astral stuff, if you look at the way... That didn't look as cleverly done, but that does depict how it was drawn in the comics.
Oh, okay.
So I think, the orbs floating around, that looks spot on if you really want to be true to it. The character, the villain itself, that I kind of had an issue with.
I agree.
But overall, I mean, the use of time, the use of the characters, I mean, there was so much in here. He takes over the New York sanctum, his inner sanctum. There's 3 of them. They need to be destroyed to bring this forward. The cape That's a cool thing. The cape all of a sudden picks him, a little bit of a Harry Potter-esque feel to it.
You know what, though?
Cape of levitation.
There was one area that bothered me. It was a little too slapstick with the cloak at times, where it just felt like, all right, we've had some really heavy stuff happening. It's time to have a joke here. It just felt a little out of place. It was very quick. It didn't ruin anything for me.
Yeah.
But it did catch me, kind of taking me out of the moment where I'm like,
If it could have been toned down just a tad.
just a tad.
Because a bit of it was good, but it just
because I liked
needed...
where they were going with it. I just thought it was a little cheesy.
Yeah, and the other thing is, Strange picks up all these books. He struggles at the beginning to create energy and alter energy. All of a sudden, he gets it down pretty well. I wish they'd almost had more exposition and show him more through that struggle getting better. You see him struggle, you see him break through from the Himalayas or whatever that is when he's stuck and has to get back.
That was cool too.
With those sling rings where he's traveling through time and space. But I don't know, all of a sudden I felt like he's taking books, he's teaching himself, he has a photographic memory, but putting that into practice, I thought we could have seen maybe more of that.
Sure.
But he does get an artifact, another one called the Eye of Agamotto, which is the thing that he always wears. In the comics, you'd always see the thing on his chest. I guess we can spoil anything. We're doing that now.
It's long. We've been out long enough.
Yeah, the coolest thing, and again, I don't read the comics enough to know if this was true, so maybe it was altered to fit in the storyline, but it is one of the Infinity Stones.
I don't think that was altered. I think that
Is that? And I don't know. So
no, I really believe that was why they thought this was the right time to introduce that character into the story.
So that was great, and just the reversal of time, moving it forward, that was so cool.
Well, and that leads me right into where I wanted to kind of wrap my part of this up is the one thing I felt Doctor Strange did a phenomenal job at is they piqued my interest with Avengers Infinity War because they teased that. And I could not wait when the movie ended to see him in future Marvel films as far as his own, because they set it up with a sequel. But I cannot wait to see his interactions with all the Avengers.
Yeah, and can you imagine him twisting time in the buildings, Inception
That's what I'm
style,
saying.
in those
You
battles?
add all this, it's
Throwing a talking
crazy.
raccoon, you've got
My God.
craziness. It's going to be insane. And they set it up really well with him meeting with Thor to get Loki. It's like, oh, that gets you out of our hair? Done. Let's go find your brother.
Yep.
Again, bringing that humor, but it really ties all these things together.
It did.
And I also want to say a really great score, which Marvel's, we've talked about
Yes.
before, not known for good scores.
No.
But this one, really good, and the same guy's doing Rogue One, so he had 4 weeks to do it, but we'll see.
He's a
I'm
genius,
looking
he'll do
good.
great.
Yeah, it had a lot of cheesy titles. You look at the soundtrack of Doctor Strange. It's Hong Kong Kablooey is one of them. There's a lot.
And if you haven't had the time, this is totally off topic, but he brought it up. If you have the time, pick up the Jurassic World soundtrack. Just turn it over. Look at some of the titles on that, because if you love puns, you'll love that.
Yeah, and that's what he's known for. What's his name? Because you can pronounce
Michael
it.
Giacchino.
There you go. I know how to spell it, and I can look at it.
That's the only name I can pronounce today.
Yeah,
So,
I would highly suggest seeing Doctor Strange if you haven't. I think it was a fun ride. People that say there's too much exposition, maybe they just have short attention spans. I was good for it. I thought it was a great film. It's a different twist, but it fits in the world perfectly.
I agree. Definitely. If you like Marvel, you're going to like it. Get up, get out, go check it out.
Exactly. Now let's move on to some recommendations. You want to do that?
Let's do it.
Let's hit you with some recos.
All right, Greg, so it's been a while. We've had some time to really digest a lot of good shows, movies, music. You've got to have some new music for us this week.
I do. It's not necessarily a new band, but I think they have just finally made it big. They're called the Revivalists. You probably know the song. I think it's called Wish You Were Young. It's been on the radio a lot. But the album that I'm talking about is Men Amongst Mountains. Great album. Not really a bad track on here. Some horns in there. I'll post a video or two on our page. But yeah, so Revivalists, check them out. You saw a movie that I've been wanting to see. What do you think?
Yeah, I have had a chance to see several, but this is one that totally stood out to me. Arrival, starring Amy Adams, Jeremy Renner. This is, and I know this is a big statement, but this is probably the best science fiction film I've seen in 10 years. This thing has everything. It is great storytelling. It's just the right amount of weird, and the whole film you're trying to figure out what in the hell is going on and where are they going with this. All I'll say is when you think of an alien invasion film, this is not what you're going to think. This is totally out of the box, but you're going to be engaged, and you won't want this movie to end. But go check it out. I can't say enough about it. I can spend an hour just talking about this movie. So please, please, please get to the movie theater while it's out. It needs to be seen on the big screen.
Sorry, I didn't see it, so we could do an episode on it.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah. I've got one more music selection for you. I mentioned it before, even on my top 5 albums, a band, the Dirty Guv'nahs, and how they kind of came to an end last year. They put out their last album, but they had something on Pledge Music that they were putting out a live album from that final tour, and it just dropped. I know you can get on Pledge Music. I don't know if it's on iTunes yet or not. You might check Spotify, but it's called Rock and Roll for the People by the Dirty Guv'nahs. It is a phenomenal album, and as far as live albums go, it probably has the most heart and just, I don't know, there's something about it. When you listen to it, it's just a feel-good album. You can tell it was their final concert. So good, really amazing versions of so many of their best songs. So check that out, get your hands on it.
Awesome.
I'll put it on our page.
Yeah, let's do that.
Too.
That's a great idea.
So you've been catching up with some TV as well, right?
Like I said, I had a lot of stuff. So this was a little bit lighter tone, but 2 different shows. You got to check them out. One's on HBO called Divorce. Stars Sarah Jessica Parker. This show is phenomenal. It's hysterical. It really is. It's very dark comedy. And then on FX, written by Louis C.K., Better Things. It's about a struggling actress, kind of similar in his show where it was the comedian, but it's just real life scenarios about a single mom raising her family, trying to be an actress in Hollywood. So well done. I can't stop watching it. It's just a nice, turn it on, don't have to do a lot of thinking, and you'll have fun watching.
And she was in Californication, too,
She
right?
was, yes.
She's pretty
yes.
outlandish in there. She's funny.
Yeah,
so.
it's good stuff.
That's good. Well, I think that wraps up. It gives them something to look forward to until we do another episode.
I was going to say, and it's been a good week. We're back. We just got our Rogue One tickets.
That's right.
We're excited. We're going to one of the only 15 theaters in the country, 70mm IMAX. Not meaning to brag, but my God, we're excited. But yeah, we're back. We're back at it.
Might come back next week, or might just hold off 2 weeks so we could do an episode about that.
Maybe,
so we'll see. But yeah, if you want to check us out, where do you think find us on?
Yes, please.
Interwebs.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. If you're looking for me, I'm simply on all of those, at Dan Gaines. Where can I find you, Greg?
You can find me on Twitter at gcompton007. Yeah, I think that's where they could find us. Like our page. Like I said, we'll post videos of some of the songs and stuff. And yeah, just keep up with how awesome we are.
Exactly.
No, that doesn't work. Anyway, until next time, be kind.
And please, rewind.